Good morning, everyone. It is 10 a.m. on Friday, June the 23rd. And I'm Sarah Cavalier. I'm the Director of Onboarding and Education for Coldwell Banker Distinctive Properties. Good morning, family, and welcome to Mary Eikenberry. Mary, why don't you introduce yourself and then tell us, what is the Silver Tsunami?
Hey, well, my name is Mary Eikenberry, and I was a realtor with Coldwell Banker for the last 26 years. And as the first of this year, I gave up the day-to-day real estate, and I'm now primarily interested in educating seniors. So the Silver Tsunami is basically dealing with the market for us as people begin to age over 65 and older. The statistics say that there's 10,000 people every day turning 65. And according to the NAR, 1 in 4 transactions deals with a individual 65 and older. And
so there's definitely a need to serve this demographic. And so I'm guessing, Mary, that there is a different way that we should be helping the demographic of 65 and older. So maybe you can let us know what it is or how it is that this group is different.
They take a lot more time. They're very much interested in the relationship more than the transaction. Obviously, that needs to take place, but they need a lot of hand-holding. I have always said that when you have these late in life moves, they really have 2 moves. They've got the physical move and they've got the emotional move. And for most people, the emotional move is really, really tough. They can hire anybody to come in and do the packing and the moving, but having someone to guide them through that process, and it is a process of getting ready to move, is tough. It's really hard on them.
And it's hard on, I know it's hard on me to move, but for them, it's because they've been living in the same house typically for 30 or 40 years. Is that typically what you see?
Yeah, they've been in their house 20, 30. I've had a couple have been in their home 60 years. So you can only imagine all the crap that they have in their houses. And so many of them will look, I help a lot of people find new communities to move into. And it's always been amazing to me how they walk in and they're so excited that, yep, this is where we want to move. And they go back home and they'll call and they'll say, Mary, can't do it. And I said, tell me why. We walked home and we've looked in the house and we're going, there's no way that we can't do it. There's no way we can get rid of 40, 50 years of stuff and be able to move in the next, few months. So it's a huge roadblock for them to get them through that process of when they find some place that they want to move to and getting them there.
So Mary, how did you first get interested in serving the seniors or the senior community?
That goes back quite a ways. My dad got very, very ill in the late 90s. And he was on dialysis, and they could stay in their house, but it was a really tough situation for my folks. And I would go up and I couldn't find resources for them to help them with anything. And I would ask their friends and people up there, and nobody knew. And I remember driving home one day and just going, I can't be the only baby boomer child that's dealing with aging adult parents and doesn't have any idea how to work through this. So about that time, the SRES, the Senior Real Estate Specialist designation, was came out. And so I took that course, and it gave good information, but it really didn't tell me how to build a business. So that's kind of how I got started. When I came home, I just knew that I wanted to be the realtor, that if somebody was in that particular situation, that I could be the resource for them. If they needed an elder law attorney, if they needed somebody to help them with reverse mortgages or whatever it happened to be, somebody to paint, I could be that one-stop shop.
So Mary, when did you start, or how did you get into giving seminars? Why don't you explain to everyone how that got started and sort of the impact it had on your career?
Well, after I got the SRES, we kind of sat around and thought how there was another individual in our office at that time that got hers at the same time. And we kind of sat around and thought, how are we going to build a business out of this? We didn't have any money to do any major marketing. So I had told her that I had done some classes for an adoption agency at the Des Moines community ed. So we called to see if we could get in. And we did a 4-hour course. It was 2 Tuesday nights. And the response was phenomenal. I mean, I thought we've hit something here, because even back then people said we had no idea what we didn't know. And of course, that was 2008, and we all know what happened to the market after that. So there wasn't a lot of seniors moving during the next few years. And I just kept in touch with a lot of organizations and did seminars, talks at their luncheons and so on and so forth. And then I found the Senior Real Estate Institute, and they had a 2-day course. And I took that, and that just triggered everything. And so started doing the seminars.
And that other Senior Real Estate Institute, I think you've said that when you took those courses, it taught you how to run a business to serve this community.
Exactly. Everything is there for you.
All right. So I see in my notes here, there are 3 reasons that seniors move. 3 reasons that they sell their homes. How are those reasons different than the rest of us?
Well, for a lot of them, they are moving to be closer to their children. Many times it's a maintenance issue where they just can't maintain the home anymore. And that becomes a big stressor for them. And then the issue of illness, which is unfortunately what a lot of them they've waited too long to create a plan. And then they're under the gun to try and find a place. And what most people don't realize is with senior communities, there are waiting lists. Just because you get ill and want to go someplace, assisted living or wherever, there may be a waiting list of a year or longer. So those moves are different from when they moved 20, 30 years ago, when they decided to move for a job or whatever. And, they just packed up the whole house, and somebody moved them, and they unpacked, and those boxes that they thought they would go through 40 years ago are still there. So now they have all that stuff to go through, plus the emotional aspect of moving.
So Mary, are you helping them purchase their next home, or is it probably not going to be a purchase? Is it just a listing? And to me, that, I don't know, do we want, that's, one deal?
Yeah, you're right. It's one deal. There are some, it depends on their age. If they're in their 60s, early 70s, they may be downsizing to a townhome or a condo, smaller house even. Many of them are opting that they don't want the responsibility of home ownership in any way, shape, or form, and they're moving into senior communities. So in that regard, yes, it is a one-shot deal, but I will also tell you that those people are remarkable for referrals.
And then most of the time, aren't you working not just with the seniors, but also their children? Because their children are part of their support system, and they want to make sure mom and dad are making the right decisions, or they're just concerned because they don't feel mom and dad can make the best decisions. So then you probably get to know the whole family too.
Yeah, sometimes, and that can be good, and sometimes it can not be so good, depending upon family dynamics. I mean, there are some parents, when I do my initial consultation with them, I'll say, who is going to be involved in this process? And they may say, well, we've got 3 kids and we'd like our 2 sons, but our daughter, no way. They're very direct about who they want involved. Some of them don't want anybody, because that's one of the things with with seniors. There's 2 things that they really want. They want to maintain control in their life as we age and we start to lose control of a lot of things. So they want to maintain control. So the kids that come in and want to take control, and I'm sure that most of them have their parents' best interests at heart. That's not the way to go, because I think most people want to be able to make their own decisions. It avoids, if mom and dad make the decision, there's a lot less resentment and guilt on both sides, and the transition actually tends to go much more smoothly. And the other thing that they want to be able to maintain is they want to know that what they want to leave a legacy. They want to know what they've done has been meaningful. And it's kind of interesting how all that can play out during the course of this.
What do you think is the most important thing when helping senior clients?
I see myself having 3 roles, or had 3 roles. Now it's 2, but I always felt that my first role was being an advocate for them, that I was there to watch out for their best interests and to be able to provide the resources and the hand holding. I can tell you, I sat at a lot of tables while they just cried, held their hands and watched them cry as they, realized that this was a new beginning and the end of, decades of memories. So an advocate. I also see myself as the educator. This is how the process is going to work. This is how we're going to do it. And then the third role for me was the realtor. That was actually at the very tail end of the process. I found that if I took the time to do the first 2, the listing was mine.
And I think you've said before that the one thing that senior clients want is good communication.
Absolutely.
So explain what communication means to them.
A lot of in-person. And I know a lot of us have gotten so used to doing things online that it's, people are going to go, oh my gosh, we have to go back and talk to them in person. I will say serving seniors is time consuming. My initial consultations will run at least 2 hours, and it's a consultation. We don't even talk about listing the house. We want to work together and find out what their concerns are and try and create a plan and a timetable for them. Forgot the question. Senior moment.
Oh, just about communication, because that's the one thing that they want. And
yes,
yeah, you're hitting it totally about how it's in person talking.
It's in person. Most of them aren't going to be able to use, dot loop or any of those, electronic signatures. So you're going to be making trips over to sign. And it's not, I learned very quickly, you just can't plan to run in and say, Sarah, I just need to get your initials here on this form. You can plan on sitting down, having a cup of coffee, and being there for about 45 minutes as they share stories. They want somebody that cares. So along with the communication is a lot of follow-up. I take a lot of notes, and there's always a follow-up email that goes to them and perhaps their family members. And I do have an authorization form that I get from them as to who can I talk to during this transaction. It might be the community director that they're moving to. It might be, the tag sale person, whoever it may be. We write all those names down and they sign that I have permission to visit with them without always having to go through them. But there's always a follow-up email that's it. And then I say, is this how you recall the conversation? If you don't, let's talk about it before, misunderstanding gets too great.
Mary, why should our agents that we're talking to today consider specializing in this market?
Well, I have a little saying here that I've had on my bulletin board for about 40 years, and it says, making a living is necessary and often satisfying. Eventually, making a difference becomes more important. I think that says it all. When I got into real estate, it was never about the money. It was always about helping the people. I came from a background in sales that if you built the people will build the company. And I kind of see this to be the same thing. If you build and take care of your senior clients, they are going to help you build your business through a lot of referrals.
And you brought this up the other day, Mary, and I think it's awesome because we probably have a wide range of ages of our agents that are watching here today. And you said, hey, the agents that I had in my 20s and 30s, in 20 and 30 years from now, they'll
my clients.
Yeah. They're in this age group. And so we can say, agents, if you are new, if you're in your 20s, early 30s, or even 40s, your clients age too. So you need to be prepared to follow them in each of their stages of life.
Right. Your database is getting older, and you may think, I always found it hard to, how do I call them back? I haven't talked to them forever. And this is a great opportunity to call back and say, I see you've been in your home for, 30 years. I'm just kind of curious how things are going for you, and go over and sit down and talk with them and start helping them create the plan for when they get ready to make that next move. Or if they decide to stay in their house. I've had a lot of clients where financially it just wasn't going to work for them to move anywhere. So we needed to get some people in with resources on how to modify their home. And it isn't just modifying their home, it's who else are you going to have on your team that can provide meals? What about your socialization? I mean, COVID taught us that isolation is one of the worst things in the world. And that's really really bad for seniors because it increases the chances of dementia. So how are they going to socialize if they end up staying in their home? So that's one reason to, get into this market. For those of you that have been in the business a while, you've got a pool of people that you can draw on right now. And those folks are going to need more guidance. When you work, it's going to be different working with them this time around than it was when they moved 20, 30 years ago.
So Mary, we had two comments in the chat. Joey says, and this is from at the beginning, 100% just went through this recently with my dad. 40 years in the same house is not easy to move and leave. This is great. And then Terry in the Kansas City market wants to connect with you, Mary. I'll make sure you two get to talk. She is CSHP in the Kansas City market. So I think this brings us right to where we want to start to wrap up and talk about the different designations that are available and some awesome classes that you're going to be teaching in the Des Moines market and that are going to be available or are available outside of Iowa. What is the CSHP, Mary?
That's the Certified Senior Housing Professional. It's a designation from the Senior Real Estate Institute. You won't find that on the National Association of Realtors. The founder of the Senior Real Estate Institute is she's a phenomenal instructor. She's got a background in sociology, gerontology. She's been in real estate for over 30 years. So she truly understands the mindset of seniors and the family dynamics. And she's got a template that just covers everything for us in order to make this a successful career.
So just to be clear, there are two types of designations that are available for this demographic. One is available through the National Association of Realtors. The other one is available through the Senior Real Estate Institute. And Mary is offering a course on July 11th in West Des Moines, and it's called the 5 Steps to, help me out here, Mary, 5 Steps to the Market. We're going to have
yes.
There we go. 5 secrets for better
serving senior homeowners.
It is a 3-hour course available for 3 CEs, and it's sort of the introduction to the designation.
And I'll be co-teaching that with Nikki Buckalow, who is the founder of the Senior Real Estate Institute. She's coming up.
And then that's the kickoff. You're going to be offering the designation classes then on August 7th and 8th in Des Moines, Iowa. But can you share the website that our agents can go to see where else it is available? Otherwise, Mary, I've got it here. It's the seniorrealestateinstitute.com.
Yeah.
And then when I looked at the map the other day, Colorado, Missouri, Kansas City all have the CSHP designation agents available there. So Idaho in Montana, guess what, guys? That's an open market for you to go and be the first in your marketplaces to have this designation to show that you are great to help seniors with their next stage of life.
And I think the Colorado, it's primarily Denver and Littleton, maybe. And there's several in Missouri, just right in the Kansas City area. But when you look at the population of seniors in the country, I looked that up the other day. It's amazing. There's more than enough business for everyone. Even here in Iowa, there's over 500,000 seniors, about 17%, and here in Polk County, it's 13% are over 65 and older. So.
Carrie, go ahead and show the last slide. So if you guys want to talk more with Mary about serving the senior community, her information is up here, and we'll make sure that it is included in Todd's This Week at Distinctive. Mary, thank you so much for sharing with us about all the great things that you've been doing for the past few decades to help the seniors. Thank you for being a resource to the agents at Coldwell Banker Distinctive Properties and Mid-America Group. Are there any other questions before we wrap up for today? I think we are. Yeah, Julie B says, great job, Mary.
Thank you.
Mary, thank you so much. Everyone else, go have a great weekend. I hope you sell a lot or enjoy yourself, and I'll see you next week. We're going to talk about cybercrime and how to protect yourself as small businesses.